Доброе утро, коллеги. Мы рады
Good
приветствовать
morning,
вас в
colleagues.
нашем докладе.
We're happy to welcome you at our presentation. We wanted to share
Разработки решений информационной
details of
безопасности
development of information security solutions based on low-code, no-code platforms. Speakers from Security Vision, please welcome implementation engineer Pino Veronica and my colleague Ruslan Gritsenko, cybersecurity consultant. Today we'll explain how expertise and technical implementation helps create effective solutions fast and with minimal cost.
Ни для кого не секрет, что
It's not a secret to anyone that low-code, no-code platforms have a lot of advantages when developing solutions of information security. First of all, when you imagine such a platform, that first thing that comes to your mind is speed of development, and it is true. These platforms help optimize the process of software development, and they speed up its deployment many times. Also, we can pay attention to the following fact. These platforms help make deployment more flexible. It streamlines integrations. Also, they're easily scaled. And the customer can see the result. The customer sees the result very fast. Also, I'd like to say that automating processes based on these platforms is much easier. We don't have a huge headcount of software developers who need to develop it from scratch, who need to write code. We take modules, and based on modules, we put together a full picture, and it's easy to improve it and to modify it. And the key conclusion is cost reduction. Any businessman, first of all, thinks about costs. The more time they spend, the less money they spend. So it means that as we bring down the time, the costs are also brought down. But let me emphasize your attention on these huge number of advantages. You can easily get lost here and forget that implementation of cybersecurity product is also a scrupulous work that's done by a great team of experts. I wanted to remind you about an importance of preparation of details and work through of every step. No-code, low-code platform is not an efficient remedy. It's just a good tool which will help us achieve success in case if we all will go towards our goal. We understand that this is a tool, but it does not guarantee success. Based on my experience, I can say that I can actually make a comparison. Comparisons usually make it easier to understand even most complex things. In the world of software development for cybersecurity, low-code, no-code platforms are like a racing car. Racing car is ready to reach top speed and achieve goals. But even the fastest car needs the right track, the right circuit, and good maintenance, and a team of people who will help achieve the finish line. We are accelerating, we are going faster, but without a strategy, we are at risk of getting sidetracked or crashing. I'm handing over to Ruslan. He will give us a little bit more details. Today, we will have a look at what are the stages of cybersecurity software development, what we should pay attention to. First of all, we should collect requirements very scrupulously. Also, we should translate processes to the language of the platform, and we should do technical adaptation. The first stage is requirement engineering. This is a foundation of a successful implementation.
For
efficient requirements engineering, at the start of the project, you have to engage all the stakeholders. Otherwise, later down the line, new people may join, new departments may join, they will be interested in this solution within the company.
потребует новых доработок.
And it will require more improvements and manipulations with the platform.
К интервью требуется.
When I'm getting ready to an interview, I request a lot of information as a consultant, internal regulatory documents, or some general questions and matters related to processes in the company. So I prepare a questionnaire.
Далее, на этапе интервью нужно сфокусироваться.
Next, at the stage of interview, I need to focus on not on the solutions exactly that are required in the here and now, but I should focus on the problems from the helicopter view, from the top. And the need that the company has will derive from that.
Соответственно, после интервью нам необходимо проработать.
After the interview, we need to work through the details of the requirements.
В этом нам могут помочь.
What can help us with this? Basic requirements is transparency. We need to clearly explain the processes that will help both the customer and the executor to see the big picture. Then we need to align them. Alignment may take a few iterations, but as a result of that, we will get a very good technical requirement, technical specification. Then it leads to then it brings down the risks.
Недостаточная детализация требований может привести
Not enough details in the requirements may extend the lead time because you will need to keep on getting aligned and keep on negotiating with the customer and with the executor. So you need to revise requirements, you need to have regular checkups, and you need to have one information field. And the worst scenario, it may lead to a situation that the stakeholders will just lose their engagement. They will not be interested anymore. As a result, the product that will be developed will not be used in the company.
Ruslan, спасибо большое.
Ruslan, thank you very much. This was the first introduction stage of information collection. After this stage, you can start to put together a detailed technical assignment. Translating processes to the language of the platform is a meaningful transfer of business processes to the logic and functionality of our platform. It's important not just to copy-paste the process, but it's important to transition these processes in a comprehensive manner and optimize them along the way and making them better.
Остановимся подробнее на ранее озвученном тезисе про важность понимания.
Let's mention the importance of understanding of business processes. First of all, as it has been mentioned, at the stage of interview, you need to collect as many artifacts as possible about the automated processes and the explored processes. Also, it's important to determine the roles within processes. You need to see how they're interacting with each other and their areas of responsibility. Third point, it's important to understand what are the process metrics that we need in the future.
Консультант работает, консультант анализирует.
The consultant analyzes, the consultant puts together technical specifications, but here is the engineer that comes to the stage, which is me, which will remind about platform capabilities and optimal ways to realize. Engineer needs to understand both the potential and the limitations of the capabilities of the platform, may assess the ideas of the consultant. Engineer can suggest a better way and more logical way of some technical aspects, implementations, and take into account what the customer wants.
И чтобы успешно провести автоматизацию и отладку.
In order to successfully automate the platform and in order to debug the platform successfully, you need to do the following stages.
Это разбор каждого шага.
First of all, you need to look into every step, a detailed step where we can automate things, where we can improve things within the process. Second stage, detection of those part of processes that are easily automated.
И третий пункт это уже.
And the third point is prioritization. What is going to be the sequence of events?
Также никто не будет отрицать
Next, Nobody can deny the importance of visualization, and visualized aids are very important to execute the work. This is why we made a slide about visual modeling. It makes very much easier the work in processes, and anything can be used here. Both different tables, a lot of spreadsheets. Spreadsheets are always very convenient. Different schemas, diagrams, different visual mappings, depending on what you like. Some people build big diagrams. What's convenient to the customer can be implemented, and we can speak the same language so that we have one point of guidance, because even if the best experts sometimes cannot figure out the information that is not logically structured, it is always easier to track process when we have a clear plan and we're following this plan. This is what we're striving for.
Резюмируя сказанное ранее, подведем
Let me sum up what has been said.
этапы.
What are the key stages?
Процессов.
First, analysis of current processes.
Нам необходимо
After analysis, we need to visualize the process and we need to do modeling of the processes. After that, we can dive deeper into formalizing the requirement, and then we can document it and align the technical specifications. I wanted to add to what my colleagues has just mentioned. At this point, being an engineer, I'm very much actively engaged, and between the third and the fourth stages, once we have the requirements formulated, I will analyze them, I will assess them, I will clarify in terms of my experience and my background using my experience, and I will give recommendations in technical aspects of implementation. Then we will find common touch points, and then we will document and approve our technical specification with the customer. First with each other, then with the customer.
Подведем итог всему вышесказанному.
Let's draw the line of what has been mentioned. And here's a checklist of a perfect technical specification. First,
Должны быть описаны все требования с достаточно.
all the requirements must be described with enough detail so that there is no space for
Между заказчиком
misinterpretation or misunderstanding between customer and executor. The next stage, we did not speak about it before, is definition of all integrations, automation, ways of integration, because functionality may depend on it. Because some solutions can only be integrated through databases. In this case, we must understand that we can only enrich information from the database. In case if a product has a well-developed functionality of API, then through API we can upload a lot of different actions, both automatic actions and automatic and automated. Third point is transparency of the technical specification. It must be equally clear to business users from the customer side and technical specialists, those who are going to develop this. Here I'm handing over to Veronika about the engineering part a little bit, please. Yes, this is my responsibility. Next, we switch to our global third wrapping stage. We switch to the stage of adaptation of the platform. We are done with collecting the requirements. We have formalized the requirements. We have approved the requirements. Now the easiest thing to adapt it and to implement it.
Это наш глобальный этап, на котором нужно
This is a stage
расслабиться, на котором нужно
where you cannot sit back, you cannot relax. You should keep in mind all that has been mentioned before. You need to take into account all the nuances and you need to introduce them into the process. The engineer is using all the knowledge accumulated by the consultant in order to incorporate them. Implementation of business processes goes together with technical background in order to create a useful tool that the customer will be happy about, that they will be using this, they will open this tool and they'll be crying with happiness because it's a super convenient thing to use. Every engineer dreams about the customer, such a customer's response.
Инженер как я сказала, адаптирует
Engineer,
каждого
as
заказчика.
I said, adapts the platform to every customer,
Платформы
tailors it.
инженер обязан
During adaptation of the platform, engineer has to not only apply their experience and their knowledge, but also to clearly follow the technical specification that has been approved previously.
Также критически важно
Also, engineer,
тайминги и приоритизацию
it's
задач.
critically important for an engineer to follow the timing and prioritization. Otherwise, we will undermine all the work that was done before that, and efficiency of implementation will drop, and satisfaction will also drop together with it. And in case if we have a thought-through process, then we minimize the risks of improvements and modifications, and we improve satisfaction of the customer with our solution. Based on my experience, I can say that failing to follow the requirements does not lead to anything good. You must always be very careful about, and you must always respect all stages.
Далее, интересно, как же инженер
Next, it's interesting. How does the engineer turn the requirements into working solutions, and how the working process looks like from the standpoint of the engineer? On the slide, you can see the ways and paths of engineer's work. Engineer always needs to choose an optimal path of implementation. It's clear that creativity is always great, but an experienced engineer must know how to reuse some parts. In case if the wheel has already been invented, do not reinvent the wheel. Just take this wheel, customize it, improve it, and introduce it into the project. Also, engineer needs to request information from the customer in a proper manner and must provide instructions on fine-tuning accesses and setting up access rights, setting up requirements, etc. Also, it seems that engineer is not a manager, but actually interaction. Engineer has to do a lot of communication. We can say that we all are a little bit managers in engineering department. We must interact as a team because we all are working hand in hand. We are working on one big project. And of course, our colleagues will help us, not only with their words, but also with some tangible actions as long as we need this. Also, it's obvious that we need to communicate with the customer. We need to have checkpoints and we need to voice the solution. We need to have alignment sessions. We need to get all the stages approved with the customer so that we all are on the same page with the project. Also testing, of course. How can we do that without testing? Here we do internal QA, we do internal demonstrations, we show to different teams, to team leads. The more the better. A fresh pair of eyes is always good. After all these iterations, we hand over to text exploitation to the customer. After that, the customer can come back and say what he liked, what he disliked about the product. Next, this slide demonstrates that the engineer is always by your side. The engineer is always willing to do everything possible to make sure that the customer has a great product which functions well, which will satisfy him and bring him a lot of pleasure. The engineer not only deploys it, but also becomes a partner of the customer. On the left-hand side, we see engineer. On the right-hand side, it's the customer. If all the stages are executed the right way, if engineer was putting his heart and soul in his work, then engineer and customer will have a proper dialogue. They will build connection. And this example is truly amazing. Then the customer starts willing to customize, and he sees that the technical specification is done, but we want this and this, or we want to adjust it that way. It looks nice, but what if we do it this way? And what can help here is engineer's expertise. Engineer will explain and he will guide the path. The engineer will give the hint. The engineer will not do everything for the customer, but the engineer will help the customer do what he needs. And the customer gains expertise as a result of this. And later, it's hard to stop customers. They continue improving and modifying their product, and they keep on coming back with some new ideas to the engineer. By the way, we can think through these ideas as well, and maybe we can incorporate them in our models or in our developments, because this is the result of our work as well.
Далее мы рассмотрим
Next, we will look at practical recommendations, practical tips. It's always good to keep them in mind. They are obvious, but it would be great if people would remember them and keep them in mind. Ruslan? Yes, in recent years, we accumulated our own expertise. These are trivial things, but oftentimes they are stumbling points. First, regular sync meetings with the customer and with the executor. Everybody must be on the same page, and people must be aware of the changes going on. People must be aware of some improvements and modifications. Also, there should be interaction between the customer and executor. There should be regular meetings. You should find common touch points. Also, an important thing is verification of requirements. As Veronika mentioned previously, oftentimes people get addicted to this and they start generating more and more improvements and modifications. So from the start, we should thoroughly analyze the needs of the customer, and at the stage of deployment, of development, we need to dive into the functionality of the platform and fine-tuning of the platform so that later customers could introduce modifications themselves. Next, we should work in iterations. Iterations approach helps eliminate unnecessary nodes, and it takes a few cycles, of course, but in a few cycles you arrive at a targeted picture, and also you document versions, and it's also about the iterations approach. There's nothing else I can add here. Ruslan, thank you very much. There was a lot of knowledge. You summed it up very well. Also, would like to extend gratitude to you all for your attention. It was great working for people who are interested in what they're doing, who put their heart and soul in what they're doing. We are ready to take your questions, but before we switch to the questions, we wanted to draw your attention to the slide. In case if you don't have time to ask a question, or in case if you have a question later and you want to discuss it, then here are our contact details. You're always welcome to reach out to us. You're welcome to discuss some topics that relate to the subject of our presentation. We're always there for you. We're always eager to discuss. Contact details are on the screen. I guess that's it. That's all we have.